Declining stocks far outnumber the gainers in a broad sell-off today, with midcaps taking a beating even as frontline stocks hold steady. Real estate, metals and utilities are the big drags, while financials buck the trend.
The JM Financial Services stock slumps after RBI asked its arm to stop lending against securities due to irregularities in sanctions and for its acts of using power of attorneys. The company says there are no material deficiencies or governance lapses.
After the recent roadshow of GICRE, the government is looking to pitch more PSUs to foreign investors, sources tell CNBC-TV18. Oil and gas undertakings and insurers are likely to be amongst the roadshow candidates.
And the RBI has directed credit card issuers to offer customers the choice to choose from multiple card networks like Visa, MasterCard and RuPay. Such choice will be available to new customers and to existing customers on renewal starting 6 months from now. The move could impact card issuers.
Hello and welcome. You've tuned into Business Lunch. I'm Nisha Podar. With me, as always, is Pavitra Parekh. So, Pavitra, today is a weakish day of trade today, and there is enough volatility as well as sell-off in different pockets. Let's take stock of Nifty 50 at this point, 0.35% down in trade at the moment. Nifty 50 and lost about 77 odd points or 80 points in trading session, 22,276 levels. It is about 50 points above the low point of the trading session. But remember kind of ups and downs that we have seen, that has been in a tight range when it comes to Nifty 50. But the real dampener is coming in from the mid-cap universe, over 1.5% down in trade-off, and the sell-off really continues. Over 800 points that has been lost in the mid-cap universe. What's holding strong is the bank Nifty. The blue chip banking names are the ones which are lifting the sentiment and giving some sort of a consolation to the market today, close to 1% up in trade. And there's no surprise in guessing that in terms of Nifty 50 components as well, it is keeping it afloat to some level, and that is Kotak Mahindra Bank, Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, and the State Bank of India. Yesterday also it had a good showing. So these are the components which are really keeping Nifty 50, which is now just 0.4% down in trade. So at the moment, racing towards 100 points lost. Nifty 50 advanced decline ratio heavily in favor of the decline, especially with the broader universe seeing a sell-off right now. Pavitra.
I mean, I think the advanced decline is the only chart you really need to be looking at to understand the shape of this market. You have around 200 stocks advancing for over 2,000, which are in the red right now. So it's a 1:8 kind of ratio over there. And it's weak across the board. Nisha was mentioning the mid-caps. Just take a look at the small cap index. Today, it's down almost 3%. If you stretch it and look at it for this week, that means, in 2.5 trading sessions, it's down over 4.5%. Versus the Nifty, which is down less than 0.5%, versus the mid-cap index, which is down 1.9%. So the pain in the small caps has been real this week. Of course, there's a lot going on in terms of the RBI action. So that entire pack of NBFCs has seen a sharp knock. In addition to JM Financial, IIFL Financial, you have the entire pack which is going to come up. India Bulls, Piramal, Capri Global, the list goes on, but all of them under pretty severe pressure. Then you have the oil and gas space, which is also correcting. So Mahanagar Gas is down 16%. You have IGL, which has also dropped 7%. And today it is one of those days when the PSUs are also seeing massive selling pressure. So these are the larger names on your screen, but even the small ones under pretty big pressure. The only pocket which, like Nisha was mentioning, is holding up in the green is the private banking index. That said, let's kickstart the show by talking about the top story of the day, which is that the Reserve Bank has barred JM Financial Products from financing shares and debentures with immediate effect. Abhishek joins us to tell us more about the RBI crackdown. And Abhishek, also take us through what brokerages have to say on this move that the Reserve Bank has come through with.
Well, to begin with, in recent times, if you take a look, RBI has taken, steps against various entities with respect to, where its process is not being followed. Like, for example, Bank of Baroda on its app, Paytm Payments Bank on its business, IFL Finance on its gold financing business, and latest being JM Financial Products with respect to IPO as well as NCD subscription that they have done. So RBI has written down on JM Financial Products, which is a 100% subsidiary of JM Financial. They have directed the company to cease and desist from immediate effect with respect to any form of financing against shares as well as debentures, which is NCDs. So this includes sanction and disbursals of loans against IPO and subscription to debentures. They will continue to service the existing loans accounts via usual collection and recovery process. The key highlights or the readings that RBI has mentioned, RBI has observed that the company is repeatedly helping a group of its customers to bid for various IPOs as well as NCD offerings by using loan funds. So credit underwriting has found to be of poor quality. Financing was done against very low margins, and application of subscription, demat accounts as well as bank accounts were operated using a power of attorney as well as master agreement from these customers without their consent. So that's a key red flag that RBI has highlighted. Hence, a company was effectively acting as both lender as well as borrower from the same account. So serious concerns on corporate governance issues was seen in the company, and this JM Financial Products forms about close to 20-21% of consolidated revenue and about 30% odd with respect to profitability of JM Financial in its consolidated P&L. Back to you.
All right, Abhishek, well pointed out that JM Financial Products is a big contributor when it comes to the revenues as well as profitability of JM Financial. Therefore, the stock has taken a beating of almost 20%. IFL Finance from yesterday is down another 20% today. But talking about JM Financial Products is not the only lender that has come under RBI scanner in the past few days. And Ritu joins us to give us a picture on the RBI's recent crackdown in this particular space. Ritu, tell us.
You know, whether it is a 1 or 2 lakh rupee penalty or restrictions on a specific segment, the complete shutting down of a business, or even the supersession of boards, we've seen a spate of actions against financial entities by RBI, and some of them more recently have even been of an unprecedented nature. And the larger message we gather from these actions is that even if it seems harsh in the immediate term, the intent is to make the system stronger and help these financial entities grow their revenues, grow their profits, but in a risk-calibrated manner, because ultimately the buck stops with RBI when it comes to maintaining financial stability, and when it sees any potential risk emerging, it takes action. It is also very clear that compliance cannot be just another checkbox exercise, and good governance must be a priority. Now, from our understanding of how RBI and these actions work, these are well thought out, deliberated actions, and to say that these restrictions are a moment of surprise for the entity involved will be incorrect, because there's plenty of internal dialogue that happens before such actions are taken. If dialogues don't work, there are penalties. If those don't work, there are warnings, and in severe cases, these embargoes are placed or businesses may be shut down. The nature of these actions that we've been seeing from RBI recently has been both targeted and broad-based as required. So on one hand, you saw what happened in the case of the gold loan business of IIFL Finance, or the digital banking business of HDFC Bank, or specific product lines of Bajaj Finance, and in other times more broad-based like what the regulator did with unsecured loans. But the message is clear: risk management, compliance and governance must be prioritized, and if there are discrepancies, entities must course correct or face action, because the regulatory attitude itself is changing, making a very clear distinction in terms of what is tolerable and what is not.
All right, Ritu, thanks a lot for taking us through all of the details. All of the stocks, of course, moving very sharply on the back of this. But moving on to another important story, sources tell CNBC-TV18 that the government has stepped up outreach to foreign investors and has started roadshows to pitch CPSE. Sapna's here with more details. Sapna, this after the GIC roadshow.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that just concluded on the 1st of March. It was the longest one, 19th Feb to 1st of March. And you see, basically the message here is that, CPSEs themselves should be more proactive in reaching out to investors, particularly the foreign stakeholders. And, this practice of roadshows needs to kind of continue, make it more regular, so that they're also able to receive feedback from investors, and that reflects in their dividends and their performance. The PSU stack has been doing extremely well as far as markets are concerned in the last couple of months, and the government doesn't want to let go of that leverage which has arisen. Having said this, some feedback the government has also received in terms of its calibrated, quote-unquote, disinvestment strategy. Well, so far that has been taken, quite positively. And we do know for the fact that, for the first time in this year's budget, there is no clear-cut disinvestment receipts target as such. So overall, there doesn't seem to be any kind of anything missing or some kind of a disappointing feedback coming in from investors. More or less is being taken on board. Probably in the next set of such kind of roadshows, probably companies like New India Assurance or maybe even the oil and gas sector will get highlighted. But a short point here is basically messaging to CPSEs to be proactive in reaching out to investors, taking their feedback, and the roadshows to continue.
All right, roadshows to continue and attracting investors. Thanks, Apna, for all those details. With that, we'll slip into a short breather on Business Lunch. But coming up on the other side, Praveen Khandelwal, the leader of the Confederation of All India Traders, is now the BJP's candidate for the upcoming Lok Sabha elections from Delhi's Chandni Chowk area. We get you special conversation on the other side. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're still tuning to Business Lunch. Now, reducing the cost of compliances and doing away with penal provisions of laws will again be a major focus area of the government after elections. Sources say the full budget in July will deliver a high capex roadmap and increasing adoption of digital public infrastructure. Prime Minister Modi has laid out a vision of a Viksit Bharat or a developed India by 2047, and the government's next budget after the elections will show that roadmap to the entire nation. So Parikshit is here with more on this. Parikshit.
Well, yes, the full budget, when it comes out in the month of July, will have a roadmap for increasing the share of manufacturing in the GDP. The high capex push, the strong infrastructure push and increasing adoption of DPIs will find strong mention in the full budget speech. The government, we believe, is also working on new PLI schemes, including sectors like textiles and leather goods, where it believes it can make products and exports more competitive. When it comes to decriminalizing laws or doing away with obsolete provisions, we had the Jan Vishwas law, which was brought by the government in its second term, the Modi government's second term. We believe there will be a Jan Vishwas second version that will be brought after elections, and more laws could be decriminalized, penal provisions could be done away with to assure businesses across the country. At the same time, the government has recently completed a study on cost of regulations in different states, and this is going to be circulated to states so as to create competition among different states to reduce cost of compliances in the years to come. In fact, reducing cost of compliances across the country has been a pain point that industry has been talking about and will be a priority for the NDA government in its third term if re-elected. The Viksit Bharat roadmap, the Developed India roadmap that the Prime Minister has been speaking about and different ministries have been working towards, this is a roadmap for which the blueprint would come out in the full budget in July. This is what sources are telling us. In fact, the recent Council of Ministers meeting was all about the 100-day agenda of the government after the elections. All ministries have been asked to work continuously on the blueprint for Viksit Bharat, and we will be hearing about these details in July.
All right. Thanks, Parikshit, for getting us all those details. The roadmap to Amrit Kal 2047. Moving on, then, the BJP has decided to bench most of its sitting MPs from Delhi in the upcoming Lok Sabha polls, despite registering a clean sweep last time around. Now, the party has fielded Praveen Khandelwal of the Confederation of All India Traders in Chandni Chowk constituency. Now, this is a seat that former Health Minister Harshvardhan won by a margin of over 228,000 votes in the year 2019. My colleague Shivani Bazar spoke to Praveen Khandelwal to get a sense of the key election issues in the Chandni Chowk constituency. Remember that Chandni Chowk, Delhi's biggest shopping centre, has a significant number of voters from the traders community.
The Bharatiya Janata Party has released the first list of candidates for the Lok Sabha elections 2024. In the national capital, BJP has announced the names of candidates for 5 out of 7 seats. Praveen Khandelwal has been given a ticket from Chandni Chowk seat. Widely known as the General Secretary of the Confederation of All India Traders, Khandelwal is a second-generation BJP leader. Chandni Chowk is the hub of traders in the national capital, and hence his priorities include ease of doing business, ease of taxation and relaxed licensing norms for businesses.
2-3 ऐसे क्या इश्यूज हैं जो आपके लोकसभा में इलेक्ट होने से आप सबसे पहले प्रायोरिटी पे रखें?
देखिए, कर प्रणाली का सरलीकरण और कैसे हो उस पर चर्चा होगी। लगातार कर प्रणाली का सरलीकरण हुआ है और मोदी जी के कार्यकाल में जीएसटी में लगभग 1400 से अधिक संशोधन हुए हैं। और संशोधन जब होता है जब आपको किसी को कोई राहत देनी हो। जिस प्रकार से प्रधानमंत्री जी ने वन नेशन वन टैक्स की बात कही है और उन्होंने कहा ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस, तो ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस में एक सुझाव ये भी हो सकता है कि वन लाइसेंस भी किया जाए।
क्या आप थोड़ी रोशनी डाल सकते हैं ये वन लाइसेंस से कैसे बिजनेसेस को, छोटे बिजनेसेस को पर्टिकुलरली आपकी कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी में फायदा मिलेगा? वर्तमान में जो अनेक प्रकार के लाइसेंस, आज यदि कोई एक दुकान खोले तो उसको अनेक सरकारों से लाइसेंस लेना पड़ता है। उसको केंद्र सरकार के विभाग से लेना पड़ता है, राज्य सरकार के विभाग से लेना पड़ता है, फिर उसको कॉरपोरेशन से लाइसेंस लेना पड़ता है। तो आधार बेस्ड एक लाइसेंस अगर हो तो यदि मुझे मान लीजिए दवा का काम करना है तो मेरा वो लाइसेंस काम करे, मुझे हार्डवेयर का काम करना है तो मेरा लाइसेंस काम करे, मुझे फूड का काम करना है तो वो लाइसेंस काम करे। तो एक लाइसेंस की व्यवस्था यदि हो जाएगी तो ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस देश भर के व्यापारियों के लिए वो बहुत कामयाब होगा।
Clearly, traders and youth remain Khandelwal's primary focus in the upcoming Lok Sabha election. In New Delhi, this is Shivani Bazaz.
All right, that is the word from Praveen Khandelwal. And also in terms of all of the priorities that he has for the constituencies, largely focused on the ease of doing business. But with that, we're going to get into a short break. When we return, PM Modi inaugurates India's first underwater metro. More on this when we come back.
Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch, and Midcap universe. Midcap has seen some bit of buying come in. In fact, the losses are pared down from about 800 points to now 736 points. 1.5% still down, but Tata Chemicals, keep an eye out on that stock, over 6% up, surging in trade and single biggest contributor to Midcap index. Now, moving on, as the country inches towards the 2024 parliamentary elections, well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the country's first underwater metro ahead of his rally in West Bengal. Now, the metro tunnel has been built below the Hooghly River, making it the first of its kind infrastructure in the entire country. Following the inauguration, the Prime Minister also took a ride on the metro and engaged in conversation with the school students.
All right, those are all of the visuals of the underwater metro. But let's now also move on and bring you the latest from West Asia, where ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas continue for the third day in Cairo. No middle ground has been reached yet, even as the deadline nears to halt fighting in Gaza ahead of the month of Ramadan. Remember, Washington, Israel's closest ally, had asked for a ceasefire. President Joe Biden said the ceasefire deal is in Hamas's hands and Israel has already placed a rational offer. Additionally, an agricultural worker from Kerala employed in Israel was also killed and 2 others have been injured. The Indian embassy has advised all Indians in Israel to relocate to safer areas.
All right, so that was a roundup of all the important news of the day that we had on Business Lunch. With that, it's a wrap from the entire team. But stay tuned to CNBC-TV18. Midcap Radar comes up next. Thanks so much.